Hello, I'm going to try and keep this as short and as sweet as I possibly can. This video is for anybody that's new to the game and hopping into Renegades for the first time, or anyone returning to the game and diving back in. Now, there may be some stuff that I cover here that returning players you're already aware of depending where you left off, but I will divide this up so you can just skip to the relevant parts. Now, for the new players specifically, just before you start blasting through the campaign, I would recommend going through the new light quest. Getting comfortable, and by comfortable I just mean get used to your keybinds, your abilities, the general gameplay loop, that sort of thing, as you would with any new game. This is really the only new player specific note I want to preface this with. With that out of the way, I want to break this down into a few subsections of just things to be aware of that first are not Renegades specific, just in general game systems that I'll run over briefly. Tiered loot system, leveling, Armour 3.0 and Ghost mods, and masterworking. Now, we'll start with the tiered loot system. This is how armor and weapons that are released post-final shape, this is how they drop, starting at tier 1, going all the way up to tier 5. And as your power goes up, the higher your possible tier of gear drops. That's simple. Tier 5 drops at 451 power. That's where it starts dropping. Don't worry about leveling. It's easier than you think it's going to be. We'll get to that soon. For armor, increasing tiers increases total stats and armor pieces to 75 base stats at tier 5. Tier 5 armor also gets a tuning slot, which allows you to move 5 stat points from a specific stats on that armor piece from one to another, or add 1 point to all of the lowest stats on that piece. For weapons, increasing the tiers starts from base weapon perks like your normal everyday weapons that you'd see pre-final shape. Tier 5, you'll see everything enhanced. You'll have 3 perks in each column, you'll have barrel masterword, you'll have your mag masterword, your origin trait. Everything will be all super juiced. For reference, tier 3s are what we used to have for adept masterwork weapons. Now on to leveling. This part is super easy and I won't too long with it, but first and foremost, you're going to go through the campaign itself, and Legend campaign really isn't that much more difficult than the normal version of the campaign, so bring a fire team if you want, blast through it, and this will put you at the soft cap of 300 power just by going through it at a minimum if you don't push past it through the campaign itself. From that, the best way to level is either just playing the Lawless Frontier Renegade activities, it just rains loot on you, or cycling through portal activities wherever you see a green engram. Those are bonus drops from those activities. Do those, hit a B+ score, you get additional drops from those as well. Going from activity to activity with those +3 drops is great for leveling, and that's it. Now onto Armour 3.0 and Ghost mods. This is the new armor system. Again, this is fairly straightforward. Armor pieces will now drop with a primary stat, a secondary stat, and a random tertiary stat. For example, gunner pieces, they will be dropping weapon as their primary, grenade as their secondary, and then you'll get a third random tertiary stat from your other stats remaining. It could be melee, could be super, could be health, could be class, could be any of those at all. You can use the in-game ghost mods to see which archetype drops which stats, and also equipping them to your ghost makes the armor that does drop have a 33% chance of it being that focused armor piece. Realistically, you just want to keep good gunner and paragon pieces. If you want a deeper dive on this topic, Bog on my dog has a great video and I would 100% giving it a watch. I'll link it down below. Onto masterworking. This is just a simple tidbit really. Masterworking weapons armor costs glimmer, costs cores, and for armor it starts costing enhancement prisms and ascendant shards. Now, before you start masterworking anything, do not bother until you are in least good tier 4 territory as an absolute minimum. When you start getting tier 5 armor, your exotic, masterworking starts to get really resource intensive. Masterworking armor itself fully increases your stat total by +15, adding 5 to your lowest stats. Moving on from all of those initial non-Renegades focused pieces, we're going now into Renegades optimization. This bit is purely for after you finish the campaign, when you've unlocked all of the syndicates, all of the post-game activities. I'll break these down into a couple of little sections. So we'll start with credits and when to spend them, upgrading the syndicates, the Praxic Blade, and the dungeon. Firstly, credits and when to spend them, and simply until you have any syndicate at rank 5, do not spend credits. Unless somehow you hit the maximum credit cap beforehand, it is really not worth it. When you hit a syndicate, any of them at all, at rank 5, you can go to Spider, pick up an upgrade that increases the tier of drops from Tharsis vendors and frontier activities +1 permanently, and it is account wide. And that's it. After that, I would say just use them on weapons, specifically the refurbished A499, Uncivil Discourse, and M17 Fast Talker. They are the best weapons from Tharsis, in my opinion, to use your credits on. And now moving on to upgrading syndicates, this is primarily your access point to upgrading renegade abilities with each syndicate. But also, each syndicate has its own weapon and Praxic Blade upgrade too. For example, the Pikers have the refurbished A499, one of the best weapons in the DLC itself, and the blade focused Praxic Blade mod. What I would recommend is getting all syndicates up to rank 5. You can align with one any given time. You can realign with any syndicate once a day. You're not tied to one syndicate forever. By aligning with a syndicate, you get a bonus rep to all of your contracts that deal with that syndicate, and you also get a daily priority contract that gives you a big boost to reputation. After the first rank up, you can use the dark matter ingots to open the chest next to the syndicate vendors and increase your reputation that way too. You can go up really quickly. Also, while you're aligned to each faction, you can still do contracts that give reputation to other syndicates at the same time. So you're not locked into just getting rep for one faction at a time, which is really good. A personal recommendation would be this order: Pikers for the sniper rifle access, then Tharsis Reformation for the forceful blade Praxic mod, then finally Totality Division mainly for the behemoth upgrades. They are absolutely disgustingly broken in the Renegade Frontier activities, and they're super fun. Now onto the Praxic Blade. This is one of, if not the most unique and customizable exotics in the entire game. It has 9 earnable color customizations, 5 blade mods, 3 cores, 3 forms, and 4 catalysts. It's a lot of stuff. It gives you plenty to grind for, and it's great to have something like this in the game. My personal favorites are the Hyperblade Catalyst, Offensive Form, and Impact Core. For the Catalyst and Form, there are some great guides out there for those, as the Hyperblade Catalyst is unlocked in the exotic mission itself, and Offensive Form is from the dungeon quest, about halfway through. The Impact Core you can just get from spending credits in Tharsis. I recommend Gambling Gary. A random elixir is just chilling, hanging out, is in Tharsis, and it gives you basically nothing for like 100 credits a pop, but as you are just spending credits, it can drop, and it is the cheapest repeatable purchase in Tharsis. He does move daily, but he'll just be lying down in some rubble somewhere. And finally, last but certainly not least, is the dungeon. This is one of those that's not super mechanically intensive. It feels very intuitive in my opinion, but it's still quite fun. The quest itself is very much worth doing because not only does it give you access to the offensive core, but also loot attunement when you complete it, including the catalyst for the exotic when you get it to drop, which is pretty cool. The weapons are unique and quite fun. I like the auto a lot, and the pulse and scout are pretty good in PvP for me. The sword I am yet to get hands on, but it is our first lightweight frame sword with Eagle Edge, which, for anybody unaware, is a unique perk used for going through traversal sections quickly, using just the swing itself or shatter and well skating, and if you're unfamiliar with that, that is a separate topic of discussion. On top of that, armor set looks fantastic. The set bonus is actually quite good, and Llama did a pretty good video of all the armor sets that have come out with Renegades, and this one does shine quite brightly, and I'll link that video down below. So the final point I want to make on the dungeon: if you want tier 5 dungeon gear, you're going to need to put 5 feats worth of modifiers on the dungeon itself. Now, the feat system, for those that are unaware, is new to Raid and Dungeon content, or RAD content, which has started from Desert Perpetual, and honestly, it's just a much better system than the old Master content. Long story short, you can apply various feats, and the more you add, the better your loot. At 5 feats, you get tier 5s. Makes sense. This does not necessarily mean, however, you have to have 5 different feats on, because, for example, you want the Contest Power Delta on. That alone is 3 feats. Challenges themselves counts as 2. So put those together, you get 5, just as an example. And that, for the most part, I believe covers everything you need to know going into Renegades. But if you have any questions at all, anything specific, I'm happy to answer them all in comments, on stream, in Discord. It's really not a bother to me at all. So go enjoy Renegades, probably one of the better expansions to ever release for the game, in my opinion, and start blasting. See you next time.